Another podcast, another broadcast of Miami Cop Talk. I'm Raul, and with me is my partner and co-host, Robert Asensio. Want to say hi to the folks, Robert?
Good evening. I hope everybody's doing well. We've had a rough day today, so why don't you go ahead, Raul, take it away.
All right. Aside from everything that's going on in South Florida and the world, we just had a shooting in South Dade, and pathetically enough, it seems like it was some individual that was trying to steal a bike off a metro bus. And when he tried to take the bike off the bus, and everything went sour. And I just want to point out how our law enforcement community responds in a professional manner. And I'm sure there's going to be people Monday morning quarterbacking because that's what some people do. Haters will be haters, and lovers will be lovers. And I think there's a whole genre of music on that. But the fact of the matter is, unfortunately, the individual who decided to go out and steal a bike today lost his life when he decided to engage law enforcement with non-friendly fire. It's ridiculous. I was reading the story. It was just on the news. I was listening to the director of the Miami-Dade Police Department, Freddie Ramirez. Kudos to him and and the officers that responded to this. Robert, what's your take on what happened today in South Dade?
I like to play a tape, although because this is podcast and we're on Zoom, and which is going to go to podcast, so we'll just hear the audio from it. But it's from Channel 6. Willa Shepherd was the one that reported, and it's really maybe as a released maybe 30 minutes ago on the shooting that happened in South Dade, and then maybe we can talk about it. I'd be more than happy to share some of my comments because I think it could have been worse. So you ready, Raul?
Go for it.
Shooting in Southwest Miami-Dade. The suspect shot and killed by officers outside a local market.
NBC6's Will Shepard is live on the scene in Southwest Miami-Dade with the details on what led up to this confrontation. Will.
Well, a lot of chaos out here coming to a tragic ending. Behind me over here, where that small first stop market is located, you see that Range Rover out in front. It came crashing into the store. Police say the man got out, and that's when, sadly, they said they were forced to fire, and he ended up losing his life. Miami-Dade police tell us the man who ended up being shot created havoc in Southwest Miami-Dade Thursday afternoon. Police say it all started when the man tried to take a bike off a bus rack, got into an altercation, and started shooting.
Confrontation ensued, and the subject fired his firearm in the direction of one of the owners of the bus.
Police say the man's next stop was at this gas station, where he tried to get inside, but couldn't. They say he started shooting here too, and ended up stealing the black vehicle and racing off. This is what it sounded like on the police radio when the Miami-Dade police units followed him.
Over by the Blue Range Rover westbound 168 Minot Avenue, they did fire shots at the unit.
Then he showed up at the store where the drama came to a tragic ending.
He crashed the vehicle into the store. At that site, he entered the store. He came out of the store. There was a confrontation. Shots were fired. The subject's deceased on the scene.
The police director told us it could have been much worse.
How thankful I am, how relieved I am that none of my officers or any members of our community was injured due to the actions of this individual.
So there it is. Like you said, Raul, we had our director, Freddie Ramirez, giving a little briefing about the incident. It's admirable that the director goes out to the scene and gives a soundbite. No knock on the PIOs, which are great PIOs. You worked in PIO, Raul, for a long time, so you know that. Gigantic effort of a job. But to hear the director out there taking, ownership of what happened and speaking about what's going on, and how the subject violently confronted police officers by shooting at officers after shooting at civilians, that's pretty intense. Raul, remember when we were on the road and we would hear shots fired on the air? And how did you feel when you heard that other officers were being shot, or when you were shot at?
Well, like I said in one of our previous broadcasts, the scientific term pucker factor comes into effect. So you have this pucker factor, your whole dynamic changes. Revert to muscle memory and training and whatnot, and you start doing everything you can to make sure you're keeping your officer safety, training, on the forefront. But the fact of the matter is, I gotta say something that we in law enforcement, public safety, the dispatchers, man, they're amazing. I mean, thank God for dispatchers. Uh, my uh, my my thoughts and prayers go out to the family of who this individual was that committed this ridiculous crime to try to steal a bike and lost his life over it. Is sad, and you never criticize the dead, but sometimes it's just bewildering to think what is going through some people's minds when they do things that end up costing them their lives. And I want to go ahead and say that dispatchers, calm, cool, and collective. The officers did what they had to do, did what they're trained to do. But no one wakes up in the morning, puts on a uniform, and says, I'm going to take a life today. That is not what law enforcement's about. When you use deadly force, that's always the last resort. But again, good job by the Miami-Dade Police Department, and again, to the community, keep your eyes open. Imagine if you would have been out there driving around, going home from work, or going out to get something to eat, whatever, and here you suddenly find yourself in the midst of a shootout because some deranged individual didn't do the right thing, and you get caught, you get caught. What was that old Beretta saying? If you do the crime, you got to pay the time. And it's very, very unfortunate someone lost their life, and again, I'm saying again, over a bicycle. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, man. So yeah, kudos definitely to echo your acknowledgement of the dispatchers, man. I got to tell you, there were times there that if it hadn't been for dispatchers, I can honestly say I probably wouldn't be here today. I can remember calling for 315 as emergency backup for myself or one of our officers, being injured, or we're under fire, or we're in a very dangerous situation. We need help. Calling for backup, and those dispatchers, whether it was guiding officers to me or guiding me along with others to those that were in danger, and also civilians, right? Because they advise about what's going on at a scene as they're getting it relayed from the call center. That's a very complex job, man. And think about this: the officers are out there on the street. They get to see, some of this, if not from the start to the end. The dispatcher is sitting behind a computer and a mic and a headset, and they don't see that often. They don't find out exactly what happened in these situations where officers being shot at. I mean, they're emotionally connected. A lot of times they work with these officers. They hear them on the radio. They dispatch them to calls. They guide over them. Man, that no doubt, that's definitely
Yeah,
kudos.
they're the information lifeline. I mean, they are on the radio, telling officers that are responding to the scene, where to go, what's going on. They're that information lifeline, and the dispatchers are, they're top in my list. They're on the top of my list when it comes to amazing performance in public safety.
Yeah, I always thank them without doubt. It's like the big toe of the operation, right? They play that major role in how we walk and how we, conduct our activities, or the officers on duty. But Raul, you mentioned about the subject losing his life over a bicycle. Yeah, senseless, right? But that is more indicative of, we have serious problems out there in the streets that the officers are facing, and that probably goes to the heart of why you and I decided to launch this effort, this Miami Cop Talk podcast, website, and even the filmings in studio on a regular basis, to put context to what otherwise is often, misinformed and at times misunderstood. So, I'm glad we're talking about this. And maybe we didn't start out wanting to talk about dispatchers, but I'm glad you brought that up, brother, because I do believe that they are definitely under recognized and under thanked.
I'm gonna use that as a segue to the show. Dispatchers, what do they do? They're communicating, they're talking back and forth. The whole, again, genesis of what we wanted to do with Miami Cop Talk was created a forum for talking for, and I've said it time before, there were two Miami guys that like to talk, that were cops. Let's do Miami Cop Talk. And you're the one that, probed the idea and said, hey, you think we should? I say, absolutely. I think it's a great idea. Let's do it. So we're, we do our filmings at the studio. Right now you're at your home residence. I'm at my home residence. You're in your home office. I'm in my home office. And we thank God for technology. And we've been able to talk to individuals through Zoom and pick their brains and think about what we're going to do in the future of this, venture that we're on, Miami Cop Talk. And I think this is a good forum to get more content onto our channel, more content onto to the community, letting them know that we're here to talk. And if someone wants to come on Miami Cop Talk and share their views and express their concerns about whatever, dealing in public safety, hey, our email is 305@miamicoptalk.com. And you can call us also at 305-814-8326. The last four digits spell out the word team. And we always say, together each accomplish more. So 305-814-8326. And shoot us an email at 305@miamicoptalk.com. Our website is miamicoptalk.com. And we're engaging the community. We're talking. And for those that live here in the South Florida area, every time they go by La Carreta, every time they go by Versailles, every time you go in, you see people huddled and talking. And, on Bird Road, they got the Carolina Ale House, and you see these guys on the motorcycles. And they get there and you see these, car clubs and Tropical Park and whatnot. People are always huddling together and talking and expressing their views. And the food truck phenomenon, people are showing up food trucks and talking. You know what? We wanted to create a forum where we can bring our public safety community and our community as a whole together. And this Miami Cop Talk adventure, again, that we've created here, it is an open forum for the community to come on board and share, things that need to be shared and things that should be talked about. And as we talk about a little bit about everything, we talked about that shooting. I think one of the things we wanted to talk about is the shooting in Atlanta, as another major city.
Wow.
What happened in Atlanta? I was just watching the news, and man, there's a lot of spin, Robert, and I know, I had somebody call me today and go, hey man, that was a racist act, and racist this and a racist that. And I say, well, being racist is not illegal, but homicide is. So I mean, we're focusing on the racists. There are people that were killed. We want to find out why they were killed. And you know what? Let's stop pointing the finger at what divides us. Let's try to come together and see why people lost their lives. And there were, some people that weren't Asian that were hurt in that shooting. And, I think there was a Hispanic guy and a Hispanic female that were, in the area working, whatever, they got hurt also. But, I think, we got to stop focusing on things that divide us. And try to come together. And if we're going to focus on I just, the first thing I heard of was a shooting in Atlanta. And, what crossed my mind was, well, I didn't think, well, were they male or female? Because, do we value gender on what life is more important? Is it a man's life? How much who were they making? Was it a rich person that got killed, or a poor person that got killed? Or was it a child or an older person? We're talking about human life, man. And, the investigation will reveal, hopefully why this occurred. But I mean, it hasn't been 24 hours and people are throwing the race card in there and this and that. And I know there are political agendas. I don't have a political agenda. I really don't. But I think, what happened in Atlanta is a horrible thing, and we need to find out why it happened. And I think 24 hours into it, I don't think we could start pointing the finger. If the guy hasn't left a note or said something, I think he came up. I don't know, Robert, if you heard this. I mean, I personally never been to, a massage parlor. I know that you were in the service, and
Doesn't mean we all went to them.
Yeah, you may be more experienced than I am in this area. I've never been to a
Well,
massage
unfortunately,
parlor.
I'm not. Unfortunately. But you know what? But that's assuming, and just like that, like you were saying about the hate or the race card, you know, it's assumptions. Now, I'll tell you this much. I don't know. Well, first of all, my heart and condolences goes out to the
Horrible.
victims, right?
I have family in Atlanta.
Yeah. So that's the first thing that Raul and I definitely agree on, that, you know, loss of life is definitely unacceptable, especially under these circumstances. The other part of this is, you know, to get to the root of this, we have to realize and be cognizant of the fact there is a lot of hate.
Oh
Now,
yeah,
the hate is manifested in different ways, right?
hate is hate.
So you know, we hope that the truth comes out and there's justice. There has to
Absolutely.
be justice for the fallen, the innocent, the victims, the ones who were taken unjustly. But having said that, you know, just like the shooting in Miami, I mentioned it a little while ago, I would say here there are definitely underlying issues. And what happens is, you know, look, agencies, modern police agencies, modern day policing requires a whole lot of continuous training, advanced training, right? Both academically, in service training, to deal with, you know, the different areas of society that we as individuals may not even know how to deal with or even have come up against to deal with. So law enforcement, professional law enforcement today is very evolving, and it's continuous training. And we've seen, if I can go to this point, that in the biopsy or the anatomy of post incidents, when you're investigating incidents of whether it be officer misconduct or where the system fails, or agencies have failed, there has been traditionally a lack of training. That's the commonality, right?
Oh, yeah.
Lack of training, lack of
It's always a
standards.
training issue. Yeah,
Yeah, and lack of standards, which probably are all interconnected.
correct.
And I can't say that that's the case in Atlanta. From what I know, from what I've seen, I think Atlanta is pretty up there with modern day policing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But at the end of the day, it's more than the police agency, and it's a community-wide problem, violence, and that's really
Right.
what we need to focus. And that's why we bring this community together, and that's why we bring forth this forum. Man, brother, I tell you, how many people were killed in Atlanta? Was it 9?
8 or 9, I'm not too sure. Yeah, but
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, you know,
Single shooter, though.
what's that?
A
No,
single shooter.
A single shooter. Yeah, he was, from what I hear, it was a 21-year-old individual that, according to police, made the statement that he has some sort of attraction with Asian women or something to that effect.
I do know that the commander of that scene was removed from or relieved of his command on that for that investigation because of some sensitive comments. But you know, I think that more importantly, the most important thing here is to, you know, that good investigative follow-up provide, you know, leads to the answers of why. We're often
Correct.
led, just like in my Southwest Miami-Dade, not to go back to it, we're always asking why. I know when I led investigation, when I investigated cases, I was always asking for the why and the
Correct.
how and the who
Correct.
and a whole bunch of other questions.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, the individual, from what I have understood, was a 21-year-old individual by the name of Robert Aaron Long. You know, and I think we need to you know, look at, again, before we start throwing out assumptions. You know, I think right now, unless there's any evidence or facts, anything that's being reported on the hate of Asian people is an assumption. I mean, his last name is Long. I don't know. Is his mom Asian? I don't know. Maybe he has mommy issues. Who the heck knows? But the fact of the matter is, I think we need to, from a holistic standpoint, we need to slow it down, stop pointing the fingers, you know, and let's, now guess what? It may very well be a hate crime. It may be you know, the guy was an Asian community hater, who knows, but you know, I mean, I'm sure, like in every community, you can, he went to massage parlors. From an investigative standpoint, think about that, Robert. You did investigation, you went to a massage parlor. I mean, he didn't go to Asian restaurants. There are more of those around. He didn't go to, I mean.
Well, we don't know that. We don't know that. What we do know.
Well, no, he didn't kill, no one was
Well,
killed.
that's better. That's better said. He
Yeah.
did not kill, or that we know he has not killed anyone in the restaurant.
yeah.
And I'm sure we would have already heard it if he had.
Exactly. So I'm thinking the massage aspect, and I know people go to massage parlors for massages. I know that, I think the owner of the New England Patriots was going to the massage parlor for
A little more. A little more.
So he went to massage parlors and targeted people there, and horrible. I'm more and more pragmatic individual. I say, hey, it's horrible, homicide, horrible. Don't start telling me, the fact that female, black, white, Asian, whatever. Listen, human life is human life. Let's focus on why that human life was taken, and let's let the investigation run its course. We're really 24 hours into it. We don't even know what kind of background he has, family, whatever. So let's not stop the dividing between ethnic lines, whatever. Let's get it. And you know what? It may be that, but let's wait. Let's not.
And certainly. I mean, look, we know that the crimes against the Asian community, right, whether it's Asian American or just Asian community, have increased in the last maybe so many years, 4 years, 5 years. We know that it's definitely an issue, as there are those who target other minority groups. But here's the takeaway for me, Raul. The takeaway for me is we still have a long way to go in this unifying our community. We all talk about, well, many of us talk about, we're Americans, we love our country. Some of us have served, like you and I and many others, and some have served and paid far more sacrifices and made far more sacrifices than you and I have. But if we believe in our country, then we need to believe in the systems that are there to help us and protect us, and sustain our way of system of life. And if we don't agree with government, because police is part of government, then we need to vocalize that in a peaceful manner. And we have regress. I mean, regress, right? We have the power of our votes. We have the power of our voices. And we have the power of the law to be able to do it in a lawful manner.
Hey, Robert, that's actually very good that you just said that, because that's a segue into our next local topic of conversation.
And you laugh. And
And
What's
I laugh.
the joke, Raul? Tell us the joke.
Yeah. And I laugh. Frankie boy, what happened? What happened, Frankie boy?
Bringing it home.
Go ahead. I'm going to let you. I think you served with him in the state capitol. What happened? That's another one. It was in the media locally. You can see our friends at the state attorney's office, the law enforcement personnel, serving a warrant at Frank's house. So
you're speaking of former Senator Frank Artiles, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
For those of you that do not know or are unaware of, it's a former state senator who resigned. I served with, he was my state representative when I decided to run against him, and then he jumped into the Senate and he was able to win his Senate seat, which is over our district. We had our ideological differences, but then while he was in the Senate, he had an incident with some other senators where ultimately he resigned. And then this past year, after being sitting out of the legislature for 2 years, he was able to lobby and get back into, representing clients before the legislature.
Well,
I guess
Robert,
aside from that, he was acting as a political strategist or operative, and for that there was a case that was broken by Channel 10. I'm sorry, what were you going to say, Raul?
I was going to play the
Please do.
newscast. Let me see if
Makes
I have
it
it
easier.
here.
Himself in today on on charges he funded a fake candidate. Artilis allegedly recruited an acquaintance to help him dupe voters in return for $50,000.
And that shill candidate was also arrested. Let's go to Local 10 News reporter Glenna Milberg, who has been working this story from the very beginning. Is live down to the very latest.
That former senator, now an accused criminal, he has posted bond here at the jail. We expect he'll be leaving jail probably within the hour. His accused shill candidate already has, and you will see that in just a moment. This is the culmination of sorts of 4 months of an investigation since an election where voters were duped. Your lawyer said you were cooperating fully. No comment. Accused shill candidate Alex Rodriguez booked and bonded out late afternoon. What do you say to voters? And in that car, ex-state Senator Frank Artiles trying to avoid our camera as he arrives to surrender.
We are alleging that November's Florida Senate District 37 election
That's our
involved
state
crimes.
attorney.
The arrest warrants
State
signed
attorney.
Monday recount
That
how
was Kathy
Artiles
Fernandez Rombo.
recruited his old acquaintance via Facebook to, quote, confuse voters and siphon votes with a covert Republican running as a no-party candidate.
Well, that was Glenna Milberg. That was a Channel 10 reporting. And what you were saying, Robert, Frank Attilas, former state senator, and what are people thinking?
Yeah, man. So on that note, why don't you give them our contacts so that if we want to hear from people, let us know what you're thinking. Please contact us. You want to go ahead and give them our contacts, Raul?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, our email is 305@miamicoptalk.com. Our phone number is 305-814-TEAM. That's TEAM, TEAM, team. That's 305-814-8326. And you can visit our website at miamicoptalk.com. You can write Robert, you can write me, you can complain about Robert, you can give your
Orange
accurate-
shirt, my fishing shirt, man.
Yeah. If you're gonna complain about me, write Robert, and complain about me. If you're gonna complain about Robert, write me. But we're here just talking, and this is our Thursday night, broadcast from our home offices, sharing on some of our current events. And I think the last topic we want to talk about is spring break. So, Robert.
Yeah, man. But excuse me, Raul, can we just go back to the Frank Artiles thing? Because
you want to keep hammering Frank?
No, I don't want to keep hammering Frank. I like to point out and give credit to those that brought this case forward and those that are working the case, right?
Absolutely.
The ones on the front line that they're working, man, working these political cases. People don't understand. There's probably a lot of concern, as you would expect, from high-level elected officials that were friends, associates. We're not accusing anyone because we don't know of any allegation, but working these public corruption type cases, because that's what it's considered, a public corruption case. Think about it.
Correct.
It's a case that dealt with recruiting and running a candidate to confuse voters. And it unseats a state senator and gets elected a person who is now our senator in District 37, Senate District 37 in Florida, who is basically an unknown, a neophyte when it comes to politics or political office, that is. And it worked. The only thing was that one of the people who broke this in the media, I believe she was the first reporter. Another person I want to, super congratulate is Glenna Milberg from Channel 10.
Yeah, that's who we're listening to now.
WPLG, Local 10, ABC News. She went ahead and kind of connected these dots that saw that the paperwork had been forged, or not forged, but falsely submitted, right? Because the candidate did not meet his the requirements that he lived in the place that he said he was, or qualifications. She follows the money trail, or as much as you can in the public eye, discovers that there's all kinds of connections to this, caper that extend out of the state. Coincidentally, Atlanta, there was a post box office there, or or mailbox office there, or, you know, mailing address there. There were two, you know, PACs that were involved and that were used, apparently were used as pass-throughs for money. This is the culmination of dark money being used, hidden money, the identity of where it comes hidden to affect an election. So those officers, which are detectives that are working these cases, you know, the state attorney's office, I believe, because that's what I saw on the TV, the raid jackets, the state attorney's office, detectives or investigators.
To use his new.
I'm sorry.
You got excited, huh?
No, I was Kathy Fernandez Rondo giving her statement again.
There you go. Madam State Attorney, you have a open invitation to join us.
Absolutely.
So the other part of this was the, you know, Florida Department of Law Enforcement. Think about those guys doing their job under, you know, the stress of politicians getting involved. That's and then coming up, getting a warrant, building the PC, the probable cause to obtain a warrant, executing a warrant, and then ultimately, you know, charging a high profile person with a crime that quite honestly, quite often does not get you know, charged. But yet we know that that's part of why people dislike politics, right? Because of all the dirty plays. And we often complain about it, but what are we doing? So it's good to see it, and it builds my faith in law enforcement that you guys are out there still upholding the law. And my comment, you know, my comments are out of gratitude as a citizen to those that are involved in investigating and ensuring that there's some level of accountability to those that are going to go ahead and violate the sanctity of our electoral process, the sanctity of achieving good governance and fair governance. So I'm sorry, Raul, I segued about from that.
No, listen, and I want to say in all fairness to the person that did win that seat that Frank was allegedly you know, scamming voters on. You know, that person has not in any way, shape, or form been connected to that. According to the investigation, I was reading up on it, saying that the 4-month investigation did not in any way, shape, or form you know, implicate that the person that actually won the election.
Yeah, there's no evidence. There's no evidence to show that the senator, Ilana Garcia, was involved in any wrongdoing. So or that knew about what this crime is being charged for.
Correct. She won the seat, I guess, as fair, as square as she could have, considering what the other people were doing.
Let the investigation let the facts of the investigation lead the course of what happened.
No, what I'm saying is she had, according to what the investigation says, because there were 2 arrests made today, they had no idea of what was being done on the.
Yeah, there's no evidence.
Yeah, there's no evidence of that as of yet. You know, what else we got, Robert? I have a report
South
here.
Beach.
What's that?
Spring break.
Yeah, I'm reading right here something to the effect of Robert Asensio was on spring break acting like, you know, I'm only kidding. So,
and I tell you that would be a miracle.
Yeah,
because I find myself, even though yesterday I obtained, well, actually it was yesterday, no, the day before yesterday, I had my first shot, vaccine shot. Whether you agree with it or not, I just found it what better way to protect myself, right? I want to make sure that I stack the deck in my favor, my family's favor, those that are around me, the people that I'll come in contact with. So
yeah, I respect everyone's, you know, choice. You want to take the shot, you don't want to take the shot, you do whatever you want to do. Just you know, and quite frankly, yeah, be safe, absolutely, be safe. Yeah. What I found very interesting is, you know, I have people coming up to me and goes, "Hey, did you take the shot?" And I'm like, "Hey, did you get your pap smear? I don't know. Hey, did you get your prostate check?" You know, we're asking people, you know, this is HIPAA concerning
spoken
stuff,
like a cop.
You know, hey, you know, did you get the shot? And I go, wait a minute, well, you know, did you get your prostate check? I don't know. I mean, this HIPAA. We only get medical protection on what we do with our bodies, you know. I mean, well, I've never had anybody walk up to me and go, "Hey, did you get your flu shot?" You know, I don't know, maybe we're living in a new age of hey,
a new norm.
Yeah, the new age of hey, let me pry into your business, you know.
Well, you know, think about it though, brother.
Hey, what happened to the times of mind your own business? You know, what happened to the times of mind your own business? You know.
Well, think about it. think about it. If, like, let's go to South Beach, right? The scenes that we have seen in the media, right? Large crowds,
Yeah.
certainly no social distancing.
I don't go to South Beach, I mean, yeah, outside of COVID, there are other issues on South Beach that I just rather not deal with. My heart goes out to Chief Clemens and the Miami Police Department.
Oh my God. And the mutual aid teams that are out
Miami
there,
Beach
right?
Police Department. I know the county's out there. Miami-Dade is helping them out now, and Coral Gables is helping them out. But they got a rough situation because it relatively, Miami Beach is actually a small city in comparison to the influx of people that rush into their beautiful city. And sometimes it gets overwhelming to have to deal with that from a law enforcement perspective. It's like Key West. It's a small place, and sometimes it's overwhelming the amount of people that congregate in that small area. And I guess the leaders on Miami Beach are going to have to continue to work on. I know they closed off Ocean Drive a while back ago, and to accommodate some of the pedestrian traffic and alleviate some of that congestion. But they better.
Can you imagine being an officer though, and being forced? Because I mean, the officers, criticism about officers, you can't take the fact that one, they're human,
Correct.
and one, we all have our fears, right? And as human beings, we probably all have our own individual prejudices, and we're guarded, right? So the one thing we know is that we're armed, or that the officers, not me, because I'm retired, hard to get into that mode of being retired after 6 years. But the officers are armed. They are walking into a scene where there's a lot of people. Not only are they not, during a pandemic, global pandemic, right? So they're exposed to other people, whatever they have. We know some people are definitely sick. We know that we have the variants, and we have high number of cases in Florida. Man, a lot of thoughts have to be going through those officers' heads as they're responding to try to maintain order and peace. That's got to be the hardest job, one of the hardest jobs right now in South Florida when it comes to policing during this current time.
Absolutely.
You worked South Beach, didn't you, Raul, with some of the task forces and MAGTF and
yeah, back in the day, I used to hang out there. I know there was a strong concentration of
hang out or work?
Well, a little bit of both. A little bit of both. I concerned my patrolling sphere to that wet woolly area, around wet woolies. Yeah, back in the day.
Certainly not consuming alcohol, right?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I never drank on duty. Never. But the fact of the matter is, it's a tough job. Sometimes I think to myself, wow, how do those guys do it? And then I forget that, we both did it for a while, Well, we're getting ready to wrap up. We been on this little Miami Cop Talk adventure for the day, a little bit longer than we were expecting, but we had some good stuff to talk about. And again, two guys from Miami that were cops talking, and sometimes it seems like it's never going to end. So I appreciate the talk, Robert, and we'll continue this adventure again. For those that are just tuning in via YouTube, which again, Miami Cop Talk on YouTube, Miami Cop Talk on Twitter, Miami Cop Talk on Instagram, Facebook, Miami Cop Talk. We're trying to get ourselves out there. Give us a hand and help us out. Spread the word. Listen, we if you look at Robert and just look at his face, and you look at my face, listen, we're used to being made fun of. So if you want to make fun of us, hey, go ahead, make fun of us. But, send us an email. I like to hear some jokes about our appearances. But, write us at 305 MiamiCopTalk.com. You can call us at 305-814-8326. Hopefully the little squeaky on my chair hasn't bothered people. And the audio for this has been okay. We want to go ahead and thank our sponsors. Again, Share Your Heart from the Victory for Youth folks and Raul and Share Your Heart. They're sponsoring our program. New Era Alliances, MiamiTactical.com. They're all helping us out, and we want to help out our producer Tommy, who has a podcast of his own, mainland Marlins. We want to give him a shout out. So, try to jump on board and help us out. Spread the Miami Cop Talk. Join the Miami Cop Talk. Again, write us at 305@miamicoptalk.com. Visit our websites. Give us your input. Give us your feedback. This is your Miami Cop Talk. This is what we're doing. One community, one voice, and let's try to make this better. And we apologize if we've taken longer than we were scheduling in our plans here. We're supposed to be on 30 minutes. I think we're going to be going on a little bit more than that. But hey, we're starting this off. This is our third week into
We're
this
Hispanic, bro.
adventure.
We're Latino. We talk a lot.
Yeah,
We work talking a lot. You're Cuban, I'm
exactly.
Puerto Rican.
Yeah, exactly. We fake times on our invitations. You know how that works. When's the wedding? At 6. Yeah, it really starts at 6:30. We
Déjame tomar un café. Déjame tomar un café antes de salir.
we actually perjure ourselves on our invitations. So come on, let's try to make this Cop Talk thing an enjoyable experience for the community as a whole. Let's be able to come out and speak to the issues. We had on our show recently John Quick from the Citizens Investigative Panel, the CIP, and we we're getting some good information. We're getting some good folks jumping on board, and again, join the experience, join this adventure called Miami Cop Talk. You got anything you want to close out with, Robert?
Yes, Raul. Just tell them to leave. I want to share with everyone. Raul's created our website. Outstanding work. Go ahead and sign up for information from us. Leave your email. We will not sell it. We're basically trying to give you more information. The other thing is our podcasts. Our podcasts are now picked up by Spotify, Anchor FM, Google Podcasts, and a host of others. If you go to our website, like Raul said, miamicoptalk.com, you'll see the podcast channels. Subscribe, join us. Look, we're just starting out, like Raul said, but help us grow. We can grow together. It's your input. Join us. Come on the show. Give us a line. Let's communicate. And having said that, I wish everybody a great night.
Excellent. Good night, everybody. MiamiCopTalk.com.